What Georgia's voting law really does. New York Times analyzed the 98-page voting. Okay. Examined it. Okay. Here are the significant changes. Voters will now have less time to request absentee ballots. There are strict new ID requirements for absentee ballots. Let's click on that. In order to confirm the identity of a voter, such form shall require the elector to provide his or her name, date of birth, address as required, address where the elector wishes the ballot to be mailed, and the number of his or her Georgia driver's license identification card. If such elector does not have a Georgia driver's license or identification card, the elector shall affirm this fact in the manner prescribed in the application, and the elector shall provide a copy of a form of identification. The form made available by the Secretary of State shall include a space to affix a photocopy or electronic image of such identification. So right there, they're trying to get people, they want to know, are you black? Okay, we might deny you. That's where this starts. That's how this, like, they've done it like black districts, white districts. So like if you know Atlanta, there's what's called inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter. There's like a freeway that goes all the way around Atlanta, and inside the perimeter is the city of Atlanta, and it's black and what's this? Kate. What is Kate sending me? What? Kate, you just texted me. I don't know what this is saying. So there's stuff like that. And I don't know if you ever spent much time in the South. It's pretty segregated. And then, so Atlanta and a couple other cities, there's like neighborhoods that are largely black. And outside of that, largely white. So then in order to verify that the absentee ballot was voted by the elector who required the ballot, the elector shall print the number of his or her Georgia driver's license election card in space provided on the outer oath envelope. The elector shall also print his or her date of birth in the space provided. If the elector does not have a Georgia driver's license or state identification card, the elector shall so affirm in the space provided last four digits of her social security number. If the elector does not have a Georgia driver's license, identification card, or social security number, the elector shall affirm in the space provided on the outer oath envelope and place a copy of one of the forms in the outer envelope. Okay. Previously, Georgia law required voters to simply sign their absentee ballot applications. Now they will have to provide the number from a driver's license or equivalent state-issued identification. This is virtually certain to limit access to absentee voting. So they don't want absentee votes getting in there. The law also creates pitfalls for voters. If they fail to follow all the new steps, like printing a date of birth, or in some cases, including partial social security numbers, their ballots could be tossed out. Mr. Trump's lawyers and allies urged judges and Republican officials last year to invalidate some ballots that were out of compliance. Stringent voter ID laws in other states have depressed voting, mostly among people of color. People of color might not have an ID. That's what, there it is. It is now illegal for election officials to mail out absentee ballot applications for all voters. Jesus. When the coronavirus pandemic hit last year, Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, a Republican, mailed absentee ballot up. Right there, that's the problem. The fucking election should not be run by anybody of either party. Either all political parties participate or none. Like, that's a problem right there. So already it's open up to one of these parties stacking it in their favor against the other party. Right there. There's a lot of absentee. Okay. When Mr. Raffensperger did mail applications again for the general election, several local government agencies did so, particularly in Georgia's large urban counties, a move that the state has now made illegal. So now the state can just say, oh, we didn't mail to these counties. Oh, God. The new law also forbids third-party groups to pre-fill applications for voters, which made applying for an absentee ballot easier for many voters. So it's anything to make it harder. They get all these duplicates. It should be so easy to vote. No other countries make it this hard to vote. No other democratic countries make it this hard to vote. There were 94 drop boxes in 2020. There won't be just fewer drop boxes. Instead, a 24-hour access outdoor. The boxes must be placed indoor at government buildings and early voting sites and thus be unavailable for voters to drop off their ballots during evenings and other non-business hours. The measure is likely to have an effect of pushing absentee voters to return ballots through the mail, which in 2020 did not prove as reliable as the past because of cuts to the postal service. Mobile voting centers are banned. Jesus. Early voting is expanded in a lot of small counties, but probably not in more populous ones. Wow. The new strict rules on early voting hours are likely to curtail voting access for Georgians who work daytime hours or have less flexible schedules and may be unable this is the same. I mean, this is the problem with all American voting. I mean, obviously, Georgia's just taking it to the next level. Why does voting have to be during working hours? So if you're working, you can't vote. It's just, Georgia is taking what the whole country does just to the next level, and they're doing it because they're racist. But the whole electoral system in America is designed to make it hard for you to vote. They don't want big voter turnout. Offering food or water to voters waiting in line is now a risk of misdemeanor charges. What the? So you're waiting in line for 3 hours. You can't bring them food. That's to deter you from waiting in line for 3 hours. I can't eat, or I got to bring my own food. Like what? God, it's so stupid. Perhaps no provision of the Georgia law has received more attention than this one, which effectively bars third-party groups or anyone else who is not an election worker from providing food and water to voters waiting in line. Republicans defended the provision, saying it is enforceable only with a 150-foot radius of polling places. Long lines for voting in Georgia are an unfortunate reality and are often found in the poor, densely populated communities. So right there, again, in the small rural counties, you're not going to have a long line. In the big cities, Atlanta, Macon, Athens, but definitely Atlanta, which is like, I don't know, 75, 80% black or something like that, Atlanta. Maybe that number's wrong, but it's at least it's over 50. They're going to make it harder. Long lines. So now, you can't get, they know what they're doing. This isn't like, whoops, arbitrary. 80 degree with high humidity. Numerous studies have shown that long lines deter people from voting. According to research, that's why they always show long lines on the news. Did you notice that? They always show long lines. They always are doing to deter people from voting. The media always does that. Ooh, lines. Over 560,000 voters did not cast ballots in 2016 because of problems related to polling place management, including long lines. If you go to the wrong polling place, it will be even harder to vote, of course. If election problems arise, a common occurrence, it is now more difficult to extend voting hours. With a mix of changes to vote counting, high turnout elections will probably mean long wait results, of course. Election officials can no longer accept third-party funding, a measure that nods to right-wing conspiracy theories. Shitheads. With an eye toward voter fraud, the state attorney general will manage an election hotline. Okay. The Republican-controlled legislature has more control over the state election board. Jesus. Secretary of State. The GOP-led legislature is empowered to suspend county election officials. The state election board may suspend county or municipal superintendents and appoint an individual to serve as the temporary superintendent in a jurisdiction. Such individuals shall exercise all the powers and duties. Gee, you think they're going to fire one Democrat and put a Republican in there? Again, not that I'm some big Democrat, but this just shows you how the duopoly is. A state that Georgia has been red for a long time. Now they're in danger of not being a red state anymore. So they're passing laws to ensure that they'll stay a red state, regardless of what the voters want. God, this country's so fucking dumb. At no time shall the state legislature. I can't even listen to this. Yep. Tensions have long simmered between state and county election officials in Georgia, particularly in Fulton County, the largest Democratic hub in the state, where officials say they have been targeted and deprived of support by Republicans at the state level. Runoff elections will happen faster and can become harder to manage. All right. So, the Democrats suppress progressives. That's what the Democrats do. They make it hard for progressives to vote, and they purge progressive when they know in progressive districts and stuff like that. And the Republicans don't want people of color voting because they know people of color typically do not vote for the Republican Party. Isn't our duopoly great? Doesn't it just make you just happy to live in a democracy? Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at grahamelwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.